it's sad that you're crying,
Yeah.
but you chose the bed,
Yeah.
and now you have to lie in it.
It goes back to childhood where she felt second best.
I've never lied when I've said any of it.
Do I like him, or do I just want to feel good enough?
She was like, wants to jump on his ball.
This shit was here before them.
Yeah. Everything changes.
Do you think you use every bombshell that comes in the villa?
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Men Know Something. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please go and give Men Know Nothing a follow across all our platforms. You've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook. It's pretty weird doing this part of the episode, the intro, without Dan in my ear repeating each word, and it's a nice feeling, but we move. But anyway, if you didn't know, Men Know Something is an episode that Dan and I do individually to bring you an extra bit of content to your ears on a weekly basis. And today I have Anita, one of our previous guests, who's going to sit down with me and talk about Love Island Australia. And what we're going to do is we're going to play a few of the clips from this season, and we're going to just have a quick little chat to dissect what we think, what we see, and how the human behaviours are being shown in the island by the islanders. We've done 2 clips, so sit back, listen, and let us know what you think, because we might do some more. Peace.
Alright, so we're going to play you a scene. Do you want to give the context?
You're better at remembering the story.
Okay,
I just go with the feelings.
Alright. So I'll give the context, and Anita can explain what the video is. So basically, in this next scene, we have Nakia, who is sat down with Kale, who is the boy that she has been coupled up with and has said that they're exclusive and they're not going to get to know anyone. What has happened now is that Kale has been sent home because a new guy has come in and chosen Nakia as the girl that he wants to couple up with. But what has happened is that the girls had gone on a boat. This new guy shows up, has a conversation with everyone, and then with all the girls individually, and decides to couple up with Nakia. And this is now why Kale has come in to ask, what's your plan? Because they'd initially talked about if one of them was to go home, that they would leave together. Yeah. And now Kale, the guy, is now approaching Nakia, asking her what's happening, or what happened in the conversation, and why is this new guy decided to choose you whenever we decide to be exclusive. So you must have given him an inch, and he's taken the full marathon. All right, so here we go.
Will you still talk to me? And I said, of course I'm going to talk to you. This is a 3-minute conversation we're having. We're going to get back to the villa, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was all that was said.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I guess all of that aside, like, what do you feel about it all?
What do you mean?
I don't know, just like all of our dates or hanging out or talking about us being like exclusively seeing each other and you not wanting to see anyone else and all that sort of stuff. Is that all like a bit different now?
I've never lied when I've said any of it.
Bruh.
Okay.
But I feel like now it's happened. It's not in my control. And I'm like,
I don't know.
Do you want to keep playing it?
No.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So
So one point I'm going to make that people don't like to hear, but she, people go, oh, you're lying because you've said this, but it's like what we say at any moment. It's like when we give our wedding vows, if we don't feel the same the next day or the next week, she's had something else presented to her that she maybe has gone, okay, she's 21 years old, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should try some other options or whatever. And she's gone with it. So I think, we can, as human beings, we hold people to their word. And this is traditionally how we've been brought up, to hold people to their word, rather than realizing we are a human being that is constantly in process and changing. And we get presented with new things that are going to make us change our minds. So rather than judging that, it's to see that this is life, and if we get too attached to what you said, then we're going to be fucked, right? So she's changed out, and I guess she is playing it down for sure in this, in this scene, and she's not giving. You see her voice soften there a little bit.
Yeah.
So she did get into a bit of feeling, but as we know with this whole scene, he's so much more, again, it's more the feminine in the guy that's able to access those emotions, whereas she's very kind of hard-faced and there's a real personality there that is, again, when we're looking at that masculine trait, it's her that's more in the masculine than him, and he's actually probably the same personality type as Nate.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, they bond well. And
Nakia's definitely been portraying a lot of masculine traits. I actually I haven't really seen any like quote unquote typical feminine traits from her throughout
She's
the
cried
whole.
a couple of times when a couple of girls had left. So that was interesting.
I wouldn't even count the crying as that.
But it shows that she can do it. Yeah. So I think this is the thing, like her personality type. There's a personality typology test that I get my clients to do. It's called the Enneagram. And she will be the type 3, which is the achiever performer. And that personality type is all about, the self-image. So the way they look and the way that they achieve. And it's about, performing. They may have been praised in childhood for their doings, for being good at school or being good at sport or being pretty. And so they become identified with not who the being of them are. So they don't access their emotions, but it's all about the self-image and the exterior. So it can be very hard for that personality type to get into their feelings. So I have many clients that I coach, and it's like we coach to trying to get them to cry. So the fact that she has got that,
the ability to cry.
She can do it.
So she's
there
human
with
then?
it. She's human. For whatever reason, she's not allowing that to be seen here, and in a lot of scenes we see her quite masculine and quite
very
hard
stern.
and stern. And again, there's some sort of protective mechanism, some sort of learning, habit that she's in within that.
I think that scene was very interesting to me because I think in this case with Kale, I think you already knew that she wasn't going to leave. I think you knew that because because I could tell by her body language when she was chosen that there was not 1 inch of her that was even considering leaving. And I think for him, that conversation was so difficult for him to have because he knew within, because as a man in that situation, you'll know if she's going to leave. And I think for him, he was having to set an intense amount of ego aside, and he was having to be so vulnerable by basically saying, hey, I've been put out. I want you to come with me. That's basically what he's saying to to Nakia right there. I've been put out. Are you gonna say what you said to me? I think it was the episode before. So it was within 24 hours.
We assume,
So I think that's probably one of the reasons why people have been like, oh, what the hell? Is because it's not like it's been a full week in the Love Island villa where a lot can happen in a week. It's like you've been with this guy for whatever
it looks
was.
like it was the night before. That's how they've shown it.
Yeah, that's how it shows. Yeah, whether it's true or not. Been with him for 10 days. You had a conversation the night before, 2 nights before about being exclusive. I'm going to leave when you leave. And then the fact that it took a very quick conversation with a guy to then completely flip your mind, like your whole perception of what you want, which is actually, it's better that it was done now than done later, because if she'd done it now, she probably would have done it at a further time in the villa anyway.
Exactly. And I think this is, and I know they say this a lot, but I think it is that thing where they're, she's 21, right? They're young.
Yeah, she's young.
And they're in that house, and it's like they're presented with all these good-looking people. I think it's easy for us to sit there and kind of judge it, but if we were in that situation at 21 years old, it's like you've got these people coming in. I don't know, some of us maybe, I know my personality, the loyalist might just pick one and go with it. But, other people that don't have that trust, or maybe that, they want to go and explore and go, well, I'm in this experience. Why wouldn't I try, and see if I want to find my perfect match that I might end up with forever.
But it's also interesting seeing Nakia with Andy now compared to what she was like with Kale. It's like night and day.
What do you see different then?
I think how she is around Andy, how she is physically with Andy, compared to Kale is very, very different. She was a bit more slow burner. I want to see how this goes. And as soon as Andy's in, she was like wants to jump on his balls. You know what I mean? Which is actually quite an interesting thing when I watch Love Island, and a lot of girls or guys say, "Oh, I just want to take it slow." As soon as they start saying that, I'm like, "You're not into them."
Yeah, totally.
As soon as anyone says, "I just want to take it slow. I don't want to jump in. I don't want to be cuddling
you
someone."
don't see them.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I don't
Yeah.
want to cuddle someone I've only known for
No.
2 days.
No.
Or I'm just like, I always think.
But I see that with my friends. Like,
Yeah.
I see that out on the streets, right? The minute
Yeah.
my friend goes to me, "Oh, the date wasn't great, but I'm going again," I'm like,
Why?
"Why are you going again?"
Yeah.
Oh, and it's like, but again, it comes down to that maybe not trusting self fully, that, you know, what you didn't feel is what you didn't feel. And I think it does come down to a lot of self-trust. In this as well, it's different because they probably want to keep themselves in as well. Because if you go, "I don't like them," then you're on your own. So you've got to
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of
You
pretend
have
to
to
like people a
pretend
little bit
to
so they
give you the
pair
time
up with
to
you.
find someone else, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess sometimes is it a trust issue? In humanity, I see it as a trust issue a lot. In here, I go, they just want
But
to stay in as well.
usually
So-
when people are saying, "Oh, slow burner," I want to make sure. In the real world,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
But it's whenever they say that on Love Island,
Yeah,
and
right,
then
just-
someone who comes in who is their type,
Yeah.
and they're straight in there.
But I see that with my friends. I go,
Yeah.
"I've seen you go straight for
Yeah.
someone. So what are you going on a second
Yeah,
date for with
exactly.
someone you're not sure
Yeah,
about?" And
exactly,
it's like,
exactly,
so
exactly.
it's yeah. It's
All right, so should we go read
yeah.
this guy? This guy.
Lucinda,
Do you think you use every bombshell that comes in the villa?
do I think I use every bombshell?
No, do you use every bombshell that comes in the villa?
The fact that he can't even make a decision.
Do you utilize them to keep yourself safe in this game?
Oh, fuck off, Reed!
I love how they're just like, stop chatting shit.
Clara,
Would you be happy if Chloe stole you from your couple with Tasia tonight?
would I be happy?
Yeah, would you be happy?
You talk about Reed and the bombshells that he's coupled up with as well.
I think so, yeah.
I wonder how this could go though.
I fucking hate this
I
guy.
don't know.
Man is being honest, I
Holy
guess.
shit! Actually, don't like this guy at all. At least, you know, give it a couple of days.
I did wonder though with this last one, but I did see an interview with him recently. It looked like he was single still. This was on the
Reed?
outside world because this is all pre-recorded, right?
pre-recorded,
So,
yeah.
but I did wonder with Chloe because I was like, she looks like she could be his type a little bit. She's, you know, PT. She's a bit of a. I thought, oh, maybe, but we'll see, obviously. But yeah, you don't rate, no, you don't reckon?
At this point in this series, when it comes to Reed,
Yeah.
any girl who chooses to couple up with him, I
Yeah.
don't feel sorry for you.
No. No,
and
I
I'm-
don't feel sorry
I'm
for the
just being
girls.
very
No,
cutthroat
no,
about
no,
that.
I'm totally with you.
Especially,
I think they're using him as much as he's
No,
like the
no,
one that's.
the bombs are definitely using him
Yeah,
as much
just
as they
go
are
for it.
because
Yeah.
they've come in, they've realized it's going to be harder to couple up with any other couple in here.
Exactly.
And Reed's the only one who's going to give you the time of day because
Yeah.
he's given every bomb the time of day.
Exactly.
But I can't accept, for example, with Tasia,
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah,
one that
yeah.
went in before Chloe, crying
Yeah.
about him,
Yeah.
coupling up with this new girl after
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tasia, every single person in the villa told you what Reed is
Yeah.
going to do,
Yeah.
and you still coupled up with
Yeah.
him. So
He might have some really good convincing chat,
I
right?
don't care.
She hasn't watched any previous episodes, but I think what's going on for her, as you can see, is she goes, "This is
This
what I do
always
all the
do."
time," and this then probably goes back to childhood where she felt second best potentially. You know, all of there's years
Yeah.
of shit that is just
but
in
also
the,
it
where
goes
Reed
back
represents
the self-awareness aspect
For
of
sure.
it. It's like,
Yeah,
I
for
know
sure.
I always make these decisions on the
Yeah,
outside world,
yeah.
and I'm in the Love Island villa,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make the exact same decision
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So for me, whenever there was a case of Tasia crying, I'm like, it's sad that you're crying,
Yeah.
but you chose the bed,
Yeah.
and now you have to lie in it,
Yeah.
and now you're single.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those where it goes, he's the only one, so
Mm-hmm.
pair up with him to then have your big mirror of all your shit come
Yeah.
up. So it's kind of like you're crying for your childhood.
I would even accept if you coupled up with him for a strategic reason.
Yeah,
But don't
yeah.
couple up with him with the expectation.
But you know what? It ain't about him that she's crying about.
Of course not.
Yeah,
It's
so
about all the other
yeah,
stuff that
it's,
happens.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that, and I think that's the thing. It's like there was a scene from one of the other Love Island games that I was watching the other day, and it was all around one of the girls, and she was there, and she was sitting there having a conversation. She was going, I don't know. It was Jess about Johnny, right? And she was going, I'm actually not sure now. Do I like him, or do I just want to feel good enough? And that line for me was just everything. That sums up so many of our relationships. It ain't about whether you really like them or not. You think it is because you're thinking about all the time and you're in pain and you're crying.
People want to feel wanted.
It's wanting to feel wanted, wanting to feel good enough, wanting to feel loved, wanting to not be rejected by your parents, wanting to not feel second best. And it's that confusion of, it must be them because I'm thinking about them loads, so I must like them, but I'm not sure if I do or not. It's like, if we can remove them and see that this shit was here before them. It's not that they are your soulmate that you're going to, and it's, you know, it's all them. It's all the stuff that they're just bringing up that was already within you. And I think
the sooner you start to realize that, the quicker your life and your relationships and how you approach and see everything and even people, and how you navigate that. Because when you start to become aware of your tendencies and why you feel the way you do, why you think the way you do, why you do the things you do, everything changes because you start to have a bit more grace for yourself and you start to love yourself a little bit more. You start to think, oh, I feel this way because my parents worked too much when I was a kid and I didn't have anyone to love me, and the only way I could get the attention of my parents is if I achieve very well in school, if I achieve very well in sports, if I did better than my cousins, if I did this, if I did that. And then if you're not aware of that tendency that you've kind of developed from childhood and you come to adulthood and you're trying to date and you try to create these long-lasting partnerships and friendships and relationships, 9 times out of 10 you're going to make the wrong decisions constantly
because we're trying to fill that
you're trying to fill the void and fill the wound,
them.
and you're just and then you don't actually understand why these repetitive behaviors keep happening because people, yes, I'm aware that my childhood was this, I didn't get love in this kind of way, but then what are you doing to cope or to fix that or to cope with that and not make it affect you moving forward? And then that shows then in love, like you said with the Jess thing, do I really like him? Or do I just want to feel just want to feel loved, just want to feel wanted, just want to be picked? Because Jess also had a struggle time in her Love Island in Love Island Australia. And then going into this one, it's like same again.
It's and I think that's the thing. It's like this goes back to the fact that we're not taught to join the dots. So it's kind of like in isolation, it's about this relationship because we're not taught that these are feelings that just keep coming up and coming up and coming up. So it's as you say, it's like then we start getting the awareness potentially. Like she's got some awareness to even say, is it because I don't feel enough is amazing, right? A few years ago, you wouldn't hear that on Love Island. No. We wouldn't be talking that a few years ago. So it's just showing that there is evolution happening. So it's like, okay, now I know that. Maybe I want to go and sit with a coach, sit with a therapist. Maybe I want to go and now do some work around feeling enough. And then what can happen then is it doesn't mean that we don't fall in love with the fuck boy or the fuck girl again, but we process it a lot quicker than, maybe 10 years later we're still thinking about that incident that happened with that person. It's like, why am I still thinking about this? It was like one incident that happened over a weekend. It's like, because it's got nothing to do with that and everything to do with all the parts.
With all the things that happened before that.
Like, so it's like, okay, what am I now going to do to help myself so that these incidents are just like, shorter and shorter and shorter.
And you kind of touched on one thing where you said Jess having that self-awareness and her saying it on TV and them actually editing it into the show, which is good. Whereas 5-6 years ago, that was never the case. Even in the one of the most recent episodes on Love Island Australia, they were doing the I think it was a truth bike, and one of them, they kind of joked, but it's serious, where they kind of said that Savannah needs to go to therapy.
Yes.
And I've been saying that throughout the whole show. Great girl, but you can tell that there's a lot of tendencies there that needs to be addressed. And them even saying that is just like, so they are aware of the way that she is. Not even aware of therapy, but they are aware of Savannah's, I guess, her personality and how she carries herself. That there's something that needs to be worked on there.
I mean, they could all go. We can all do with therapy.
Everyone should be doing with therapy.
So it's like you could go to therapy too, as you tell Savannah, she could go to therapy. It's like.
What do you think of Savannah's relationship with Trent?
I would say that she is into him and that she does like him.
And vice versa. And
no, he's not into her. Yeah. No. And I think for her, it's like, we saw a lot of it at the beginning of the series. And I think because she presents herself in a way that she's a little bit maybe kind of, fun-loving, a bit easy, a bit sexual and stuff. She ain't the sort of girl that people are going to go, that's wife material.
Yeah.
But there's such a beautiful heart under there, and she's lovely. But it's a shame that's the picture that she paints of herself, potentially, for whatever reason she does. It's a bit like Geordie Shore, I don't know, Charlotte Crosby.
Yeah.
I remember watching it.
She loved Geordie Shore.
Yeah, Charlotte Crosby was just like, she'd shit in sinks on TV.
Yeah,
and it's like, you've done it once, but
just
we're
piss in
10
the streets.
series in, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
And I remember watching an interview with her not long ago, and she said, that's what people expect of me. So I'm sure it's no doubt with someone like Savannah, it's like the expectation is that is the personality.
So I'm just going to ride the wave and do
that's
it.
it.
Just give them what they want.
That's the expectation of me, potentially. So that's who I am. That's how I get people to like me, but it's maybe not fully serving me in terms of relationships or whatever. But ultimately, she may find someone that absolutely loves all of that about her and doesn't judge her for that. It ain't Trent. It doesn't look like it's anyone on Love Island, but it doesn't mean that there's not going to be her match out there somewhere. So it's,
very interesting and sad scene whenever Trent sat her down and basically told her she should change.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was hard. I always feel like I would consider Trent like a soft boy. Have you heard the soft boy, fuck boy? So obviously you know what a fuck boy is. They just go around and fuck. They're very honest. The soft boy is a similar version to the fuck boy. Okay. The only difference is that they mask their fuckery in the guise of being self-aware and very open and communicative. So they'll weaponize the ideology of self-aware and self-improvement in order to manipulate and get what they want. You know what I mean?
That one, okay, right.
So for example, with the Trent thing, it's like Trent gives off soft boy energy to me whenever he's talking to girls like Tia, or I don't know, I can talk about Tia. We'll talk about Tia or talking to Savannah, for example, where he says, yeah, you need to stop acting like that because it's a bit off-putting and you need to change and you need to do this and you need to do that. Yeah. And fair enough, it's your opinion on the situation. Yeah. She's not your vibe. Yeah. What she does is not your cup of tea. But it's the way that he approaches those conversations with these girls and these women is that he approaches them very, very aggressively and stern in how he communicates. He doesn't think about how he's saying what he's saying. He's just saying what he needs to say without any kind of concern about how it's going to affect them in the long run. Even for example, whenever him and Zach both approached Abby on when she was lying on the bed, and they both 2 6'3" men approaching this 5'7" girl who's just come in the villa. You've been in from the start. You have your little clique, and you both go over there, start fucking and swearing and telling her you don't fucking do that, you don't do this, and she's sitting there, no one's backing her up, and then they're thinking that that's the way that you do that. They're thinking, oh, let's go and shout at her in front of everyone and give her a piece of her mind, thinking
it's interesting. I remember watching that, and it's a bit like in that moment it's like there's a level playing field in theory, because you've said stuff about me, you fucked me over, so now I'm coming and I'm matching you in that.
She told the truth.
But then we come into this thing, but she's a woman and she's this and that. But actually, there's two men that their self-awareness isn't, off the chart. Yeah. So they're coming in their reactiveness of you've hurt me, so now I'm going to hurt you. So I think all of that you're a woman, you're a man, and this, it doesn't even, because it's like it's a level playing field. If you actually look at the content of what she was saying about them, she was saying some things that they might have been hurt by. Now they're doing the same thing. So if you kind of, I know it's not really okay to say this day and age or whatever, because she's female and they're male or whatever. But it's like in those moments, it's a reaction to something quite equal in what they're saying.
I honestly think in that situation, I think the issue wasn't, like, I had an issue with how they approached it, the way they went up to her.
Yeah, totally.
My issue was, why not just take her away from everyone and go and have the conversation somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like you've just gone over, started shouting at her in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah.
And in that moment, when you're on your own and there's two people shouting at you, it's hard to have anything to come back on, because anything you say, they're probably just going to start overpowering you, which they were. Yeah. And then also the fact that then everyone is looking on. Again, it's hard to like take away the man and the woman situation, because
Yeah.
it is what it is. Whether we want to say that it's a level playing field, men and women, in this kind of situation aren't like, it's not going to be an equal playing field.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure,
They're gonna,
But I
they're
mean,
gonna be overpowering.
it's for us as we watch it to see that, which I totally get what you're saying. But in those moments, there's hurt. It's like in a playground. There's hurt children playing out their childhood patterns. Those guys ain't thinking, I'm going to go and be a great. They're just like they're coming from their own hurt perspective. So there isn't the self-awareness for them to go, okay, how might she feel? Because they're not, none of them are at that level.
There was no
because they just haven't got it. Because it's just reactive. We can see what those guys are like. They're, as we say, you know, they're a bit earlier stage development. They haven't done a lot of work on themselves. So they're playing out that, and she'll come with her earlier stage stuff. And then you've got Nate, who's a little bit more self-aware. But it's all, you know, regardless of what gender we are or what age we are, emotional intelligence is emotional intelligence ultimately, and if it's not there, we're reacting in traffic, we're reacting when someone pushes in front of us in the queue, we're constantly reacting at these earlier, what we call earlier stage structures, and we don't realize we've got a choice to act differently in those moments because someone's done something and we are just in that reaction.
I completely agree. And then post that happening as well, it was kind of a conversation, particularly with Nate and some of the other girls and the guys saying, why did no one say anything, or why is no one standing up for her? And again, when it comes to the self-awareness thing, Nate is very self-aware. He's kind of going, well, if that was you and 2 6-foot dudes were to come up to you, standing over you, shouting over you, about something you'd said. For one, what she said wasn't even a lie. They were just upset that that she said what she said to the girls. Sure. Like, if she was telling a lie, I'd understand it. But they were just annoyed that she told the truth, or told Lucinda or whoever it was the vibe that she was getting. Yeah. And Nate's like, well, if 2 big dudes came and stood over you, started shouting at you, would you not be upset, or would you not want some of the girls to come and say, hey, like, chill out? Yeah. And that was my issue, I think, with that.
Yeah, I totally see it from, you know,
I see
that
from
perspective.
all perspectives.
As we watch it like that. Again, the human behaviour part and what's actually going on in mind in those moments would tell a different story. And I think this is the interesting part as well. Like for me, I go, I just want people to understand what's going on for these people, you know. And I saw an interview from someone else from Love Island. It was Toby from the UK one. He was on Love Island Games. And he did this whole thing where he admitted that he'd felt really insecure in his relationship.
With Chloe or in Love Island Games?
In Love Island Games with Selly.
With Selly, okay. Yeah.
And so he hadn't communicated, and there was a whole lot of insecurity going on for him, which stopped him from saying things. And it was a really beautiful share that he did on his podcast. I posted that on TikTok. Abuse. And that's the thing. So it's kind of like,
to him?
Yeah,
why?
Not all of it, but because he's now making excuses, or he's this, or
for
he's
doing
that.
What? For just not being...
For being vulnerable, right? And but to me, I just go, let's all be vulnerable, and then people will get to see that side. But it actually doesn't mean that people are going to accept that. It'll be, that's an excuse, or that's that. And it's just still showing that even though we're moving into this space of maybe being more vulnerable and talking about what's going on, there's still that thing of you're making an excuse.
People still have a lot
There's
of...
still a lot of judgment.
And
now you're a pussy because you're being vulnerable or whatever, and it's like...
You can't win. You can't win.
So, but anyway, good for him for doing it. I hope it hasn't put him off.
I think we've covered quite a few. I think definitely going to get you back on for another Men Know Something, and we can do... I'll make a conscious effort to grab some more as I watch.
Yeah, bring some Love Islanders on.
That'll be great. And we've got movie night coming up.
I'm so excited.
Which I think's tonight.
I think one of those is going to be played. The one with Nate.
And Zach and Lucinda doing the lie. It's going to be beautiful to watch.
It's not going to be as good as the UK one. I could see it already. I was like...
but I'm still excited.
It's still good,
But thank you very much, everyone, for listening in. If you want some Love Island content, definitely head over to TikTok onto Anita's page. What is your TikTok handle?
So Anita Tometsky. My name will be here, so you can just
I'll throw it in on this as well. It'll be in the description on this episode as well. As always, follow us on all our pages. We've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all that good stuff. Like, comment, share. You know we love it. So peace and have a good night, afternoon, or morning.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.